10,000.
Ahsan Nafis. From one fiqh issue, it branches off to more and more. Moving on, he then says, وَالْحَدِيثُ مُطْلَقٌ فَيَنْظُرُ إِلَى مَا يَحْصُلُهُ الْمَقْصُودُ بِالنَّظْرِ إِلَيْهِ. He says, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, once again, Umar, he got up without seeking permission. He got up from the majlis. What type of adab is that? At all. Fine. Moving on. We have the three opinions of the ulama. And now the author is going to take you back to the foundation now. This is what the people of knowledge say. He says that this hadith is absolute. The Prophet ﷺ did not specify what you can and cannot look at. That's not what Muhammad said. This is what the ulama understood. They tried to come close and approximate and harmonize. You can't just look at a woman in a perverted manner, so on and so forth. But that's not what the Rasul said. The hadith is what? Mutlaq. What does that mean? It's absolute. Absolute. He says, فَلْيَنْظُرْ إِلَيْهَا. Look at her. Face, hands, feet, this and that. It's not what Muhammad said. The author, he then says, so therefore, the man who wishes to marry a woman, he should look at that which will inspire him to marry her. Simple as that. If he sees her face, mashallah, she's pretty, I'm pleased with the way she looks, khalas, yakfi. Sufficient. If he wishes to see her hair, according to this author, then he should look at his hair. Look at her hair. Everybody understand this? Wahakala, etc. The khilaf of the ulama are on these three views and opinions. Everybody got this? Those who say that you cannot look at the woman until you're married to her, we see that they are not upon the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Rather, they are upon culture. And we said there's nothing wrong with having culture as long as your culture does not clash with the way of Muhammad ﷺ. African American culture, African culture, Caribbean culture, Moroccan culture, wherever you come from, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Sudan, wherever you come from. There's nothing wrong with your culture as long as your culture does not clash with Muhammad. And there's so many cultural practices which are totally false and have a direct clash with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And most Muslims, unfortunately, they put their culture first. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. And that's very scary. Very scary. Moving on, he then says, وَيَدُلُّ, he says, and from the things which prove that this is absolute and that the Prophet ﷺ did not put a restriction on it is the understanding of the companions. He says, مَا رَوَاهُ عَبْدُ الرَّزَّاقِ وَسَعِيدُ بْنُ مَنْصُورٍ أن عمر كشف عن ساق أم كلثوم بنت علي لما بعث بها علي إليه لينظر إليه أو لينظرها ولا يشترط رضا المرأة بذلك النظر بل له أن يفعل ذلك على غفلتها كما فعله جابر. He says that there's a narration that Imam Abdul Razak and Sa'id ibn Mansur, these were collectors of hadith, they mention a narration that Umar radiallahu anhu, he looked at the legs, the shins of a woman whose name was Kulthum, the daughter of Ali, when he sent her for him to look at her. In other words, Umar radiallahu anhu, he understood, Ali, these companions, they understood that it was much more than just the hands and the face. He wanted to see where her ankles and her shanks, what did they look like? Everybody understand this? So therefore, we're not going to go too deeper or any deeper. We say there are three views of the ulama. Hands and face, traditional clothing in the house, or everything. And Allah does not love corruption. As Allah tells in the Quran, Allah la yuhibbul fasad. Allah does not love what? Corruption. Moving on. Or another issue is we have here, and this was written by, some commentary we have here. هل يثبت للمرأة ما يثبت للرجل من النظر? Is a woman allowed to look at a man in a similar manner? Can she say, I want to see what you look like, take off your kufi? Yes. Who said that and why? What's the proof that a woman? The Prophet didn't say that, he said a woman. Abu Amin, tafadhal. Because the women are the twins of men, ahsant, in legislation. A rule for a man is a rule for a woman until the proof states otherwise. So if a sister says, I need to see what I should throw, Sheikh Sadiq. I want to see your muscles. I want to see if you know, I don't want a weakling for a husband. She gonna see it, Allah Akbar. Inshallah. Tayyib, inshallah. Tayyib, moving on. He then mentions another issue. And all of these issues here, brothers and sisters, are that which we call furu'at fiqhiyah. These are branches of fiqh, subsidiary issues of fiqh. The hadith is the main solid piece, and we branch off, shave off, and go to different aspects. But the foundation is what? Is the hadith. And the strength of your original piece, Abu Hanif, is going to depend on the strength of those other issues. If your original piece is weak, if you don't have a proper understanding of the original piece, everything else that's going to follow is going to be weak. And if it's strong, then it's going to be strong. So the foundation is the sunnah. That's the foundation. He says, it is not a condition that the woman realizes this. He says that it's permissible for a man to look at the woman he's engaged to without her knowing. As Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anhuma did it. So can a woman do that? Can she look at you when you're not looking? Yes. Allahu a'lam. Al-Muhim. He then says, قال أصحاب الشافعي ينبغي أن يكون نظره إليها قبل الخطبة حتى إن كرهها تركها من غير إيذاء بخلاف بعد الخطبة وإذا لم يمكنه النظر إليه استحب أن يبعث امرأة يثق بها تنظر إليها وتخبره بصفاتها. Some of the disciples of Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, they said, some of the jurists from the Shafi'i school of thought, they said that this looking at your bride or your fiancé or vice versa, it should be before the khutbah, before the actual contract, before we agree that we're husband and wife, before. And that is because if he likes her, alhamdulillah. If she likes him, alhamdulillah. That's better for them to get married, and then later on she says, ugh, I didn't know you look like that. I saw you from a distance. Or vice versa. I didn't know you looked like that. You had on makeup and a sit down. I didn't know this is what you really look like. Everybody understand this? He says for the purpose of avoiding any disrespect to her or her family. You married my daughter, you send her married the next day, I don't want her no more. We had a walima, we made an announcement. What is this? So this goes to show us, brothers and sisters, is that in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is every single wisdom that you can. Wisdom is in the sunnah. And when you do not practice the sunnah, then you fall into all types of problems. I have an arranged marriage. I didn't know what the girl looked like. She's home. I'm totally displeased with the way she looks. Or the sister says, I'm totally displeased with the way the brother looks. I can't be with him. I have no feelings for him. I cannot lower my gaze when I go outside. I fall into sin, and there's a world of problems. Arguing, fighting, they have children, and it's a world of problems. Everything that is good and wholesome is in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And the moment you are not pleased with what Muhammad legislated, then you're going to fall into all types of issues that we have on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Khairan inshallah. The author even says that they say is that if a person cannot look at the woman, or vice versa, if she cannot look at the man, then it's recommended for him to send a woman that is trustworthy to look at her. His sister, his daughter, his aunt. Allahu A'lam. Is it permissible? If a man has one wife and he wants another wife, can he send his first wife to look at it? Is it permissible? Now this is an issue. Is it permissible for that first wife? Pay close attention. I was like, stay on the water. He's about to crash really hard. Stay with me. Is it permissible for you to send your first wife to look at the second wife? Really? Why not? Why is it permissible?
Especially if you're not supposed to look at the aura of anybody. So
we didn't say nothing about aura, Sheikh. We just said look at a woman.
Oh,
Aura, the woman's aura, that's different. Her hands and her face. The first opinion.
well, then in that case, sure.
La bas. What you think, Abu Amin?
I say yes because first you said she's trustworthy, and who's better than your own wife?
Allahu Akbar. So let's get this straight, brothers. you're going to send your wife to another woman that you want to marry and says, tell me what she looks like, honey.
It's permissible, but it wouldn't be wise.
Allahu Akbar. Maybe some people have that type of relationship. There's some women, mashallah, they have that. I'm not jealous. I'm pleased with my husband. He's going to treat me kind. I love him, and I want other sisters to have him. Some women, just a few. But there's some women that are like this. How some of the Sahaba were. We know that some of the Sahaba, they went to the Prophet ﷺ and they would say, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, marry my sister." They would say this. I want my sister to have a good husband like I have. And he says, I can't marry your sister because I'm married to you, etc. But the women today, the men today, how many men are like Muhammad today? And we say this all the time. Oh, be like Aisha, be like Khadija. The women of the Sahaba, are you like Muhammad? Are you like Abu Bakr and Umar? Would you expect your wife to be in a Khadija? There's a balance on both sides. So therefore, is it permissible for one to send his wife? Allah knows best. We're not going to get into that. Al-Muhim. He says a trustworthy woman that can describe the woman to you. He then says, فقد روي عن أنس رضي الله عنه أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم بعث أم سليم إلى امرأة فقال انظري إلى عرقوبها وشمي معاطفها أخرج أحمد والطبراني والحاكم والبيهقي في كلام. He says there's a narration in which there's some weakness in it, that Anas radiallahu anhu reported that the Prophet sent Sulaym to a woman. And he said to Sulaym, Unduri. He says, look at her, what? Achilles tendons. Look at her ankles. Go look at her legs. And he says, and smell her neck. Look at her and smell her. That's what he said. In other words, he sent out as a scout. Bring me back information about this woman. Everybody clear on this? Stay with me. He says, وفي رواية شمي عوارضها وهي الأسنان التي في عرض الفم وهي ما بين الثنايا والأضراس واحدها عارض. He says, والمراد اختبار رائحة النكهة. He says, another narration says that the Prophet says, go smell her breath. Go see if she has bad breath. Right? He says, go smell her teeth. Find out if she has dental hygiene. It's important. It's important. He says here, and another, he says, وَأَمَّا الْمَعَاطِفِ فِيهِ نَاحِيَةَ الْعُنُقِ. He says, smell the sides of her neck. In other words, when a person sweats and perspires, your neck, your arms, say love handles or whatever you want to call it, places in which there's a lot of perspiration on your body. Is he clean? Is she clean? Or does she smell? It's very important. So we benefit from these narrations, whether it's authentic or not, that hygiene is from the Sunnah. And marrying a woman who's clean, marrying a man who's clean, this is a good thing. And you'll be shocked. Many brothers may be laughing, shaking your heads, this and that. You'll be shocked the questions that we get. And some of the complaints that we get. Basic things. Women complain about their husbands. My husband smells, he doesn't take care of himself, his feet stink, my husband lose weight, he's this, I'm not attracted to him anymore. Wallah, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. Some of the complaints. Basic things like that. Actually, they don't even brush his teeth. Something so basic. But it may be basic to you, it may not be basic to the next man. He may not know about it, or he may be forgetful, or a woman, vice versa. Some basic issues of hygiene, a husband may complain about his wife. So this is important, yani. It's from our religion. As-San'ani, he then says, وَيَثْبُتُ مِثْلُ هَذَا الْحُكْمِ لِلْمَرْأَةِ فإنها تنظر إلى خطيبها فإنه يعجبها منه مثل ما يعجبه منها كذا قيل ولم يرد به حديث والأصل تحريم نظر الأجنبي والأجنبية إلا بدليل كالدليل على جواز نظر الرجل لمن يريد خطبتها. As-San'ani, he concludes this hadith, or explains this hadith by saying, some people say that a woman is allowed to do the same thing as a man is allowed. And that is because she can be pleased or displeased with that which the man is pleased or displeased with from looking at her, inshallah, to be husband. He says some people have this opinion. And he says there's no hadith on that. The Prophet ﷺ did not specify for women to do that. He then says the asl, the rule of thumb, is that it's unlawful for a man to look at another woman or a woman to look at another man whom they are not maharim, they're not mahrams for. That's the asl. So as if Sanali is saying, we don't go against the asl unless we have what? A dalil from the sunnah. Everybody understand that? That's one way of looking at it. And another way of looking at it is what Abu Amin said, is that it's permissible due to the general legislation. Marriage is for both sides. Pleasing one's sexual desires, avoiding sin and vice is with both sides. So we see this how fiqh is studied. That it's not just always one-way street, Abu Hanif, as you think it is. Fulan said it's haram, so it's haram. La. There's different ways of looking at evidence and proof. And it does not mean that you want to go against the sunnah just because you're different, you take it different. It doesn't mean that you're a deviant or you're an innovator. It doesn't mean that. There's some issues in which, they're one-way streets. La shak. There's no doubt. There's some streets that are one-way streets. But there are many streets which are two-way streets. There are many ways, many issues of fiqh which is a highway. It can go here, it can go there, so on and so forth. As we can see in this brief class. Fulan says this, Fulan says that. He understood this hadith. He didn't even hear about the hadith. So this is a lesson for us. And it's one of the benefits of studying fiqh and studying hadith is for us to realize respect for Islamic scholarship. Respect ilm nafis. Respect it. If you don't know, if you hear one thing, that's fine. But don't force it upon the next person. Unless it is an issue that is of consensus. Clear. There's no doubt about that. That's haram, ya akhi. Qala Allah, qala Rasul, the ulama have agreed upon it. Hakada. If it's not that, then don't force it upon the next man. You can give advice. I advise you. Jazakallah khair, that's fine. But me to criticize and repudiate and force my will and impose it upon you, that is the way of the people of ignorance. That is not the way of the people of knowledge. That's not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. That's not the way of the people who follow the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. Khairan inshaAllah. He then says, وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يخطب أحدكم على خطبة أخيه حتى يترك الخاطب قبله أو يأذن له متفق عليه واللفظ للبخاري. Hadith says, narrated Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with them both, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, none of you shall undercut his brother in a marriage proposal. Do not undercut your brother in a marriage proposal. You are not allowed to propose to a woman until the first brother is finished, he doesn't want to marry her anymore, or unless he says go ahead. He gives him the permission. This hadith is agreed upon by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, and the wording belongs to Al-Bukhari. He says, النهي أصله التحريم إلا لدليل يصرف عنه وادعى النووي الإجماع على أنه لا. وقال الخطابي النهي للتأديب وليس للتحريم. He says that the asl, the original understanding or the rule of thumb is that whenever the Prophet ﷺ says la, do not do something, is that act is what? Obligatory or haram?
Forbidden. Haram.
Until, how do we know that this is not haram? It's just slight. Another dalil, another hadith. Everybody got this? He says here that the Prophet ﷺ says do not propose to a woman that has already been proposed to. So therefore, it would be haram to do this. An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he says that there is ijma', is consensus, that it's impermissible. If a man has proposed to a woman, you cannot propose to that woman. This is what An-Nawawi says. Now, this is a very important point, brothers and sisters, and that is, just as the ulama differ over the authenticity of proofs and evidences, the ulama, they differ over the validity of consensus or not. In other words, Abu Sa'id, a scholar may say that it is consensus, is total agreement in this issue, and he could be wrong in that statement. And it isn't consensus. There are ulama who said otherwise. Just as it differ over is hadith sahih or not. If someone says this is what the ulama say, just because he says that does not mean that that is true. It does not mean that. It's not written in stone. There could be other ulama who said otherwise that he doesn't know about. You understand this? He could be mistaken. And we said this before. Say, well, don't take from this person because he has mistakes. He's been criticized. Quran refuted him. Tayyib, labas. Just because you were criticized or you have mistakes or someone said something, that doesn't mean that your criticism was correct. Just because you criticize someone does not mean that the criticism was correct. There's criticism which is correct, and there's criticism which is based off of error. Everyone understand this? An-Nawawi says that is ijma'. Then he mentions the statement of Al-Khattabi, rahimahullah, who died hundreds of years before Nawawi. He says that it is not impermissible, but it's only best to avoid. Al-Khattabi, he says that it isn't haram. So this proves that An-Nawawi said it was consensus. It does not necessarily mean that it's what? It does not necessarily mean that. Rather, every scholar speaks based off of his knowledge. What he knew about. And perhaps it could be correct, perhaps it could be incorrect. The human beings that we're dealing with. Everybody understand this? We want to stop here. I think we went a little too deep, a little too technical. Perhaps some brothers have some questions or some comments, something that somebody may want to add or correct. Now is the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Abdul Basir from Philadelphia gives you the salams. No questions, brothers? Alhamdulillah. That means no questions. No, seriously, after the salat, walking to the car, no questions. Now is the time. Alaikum salam.
Did anybody here, or have you ran across a hadith where even if someone has a scar, you can ask to see?
Question says, have you ever heard a hadith or come across a hadith that says if a person has a scar, you can ask to see it? I have not read a hadith that states that. I've never heard any hadith that states that. And Allah knows best. However, the people of knowledge explain is that if there is a major blemish or defect or something wrong with the woman, her body, or whatever the case may be, then it's permissible for a person to find out about before he marries her. And if he marries her and she hid that from him, or her guardian hid that from him, and he didn't know and he's totally displeased with her, it is permissible for the nikah to be annulled, to be broken, without him having to divorce her. Without him having to what? And the benefit behind that is mahar or not. If he wants to remarry her, is it considered a talaq or not? But the marriage is broken up. He marries a woman, and this is hypothetical. He found out that the sister had an amputated limb. She had a fake leg, prosthetic leg, whatever you want to call it. He found out, what is this? Oh, I didn't think it was a problem. I didn't want to tell you, so on and so forth. According to these ulama, it is permissible for him to go to the qadi, the Islamic judge, and to the marriage is broken. I cannot enjoy you with a fake leg. An example. And this is a reality. When you read the different books of the ulama of the past, okay, let's take for example the Mudawwana of Malik ibn Anas, rahimahullah. When you read this chapter about marriage, you find all types of statements of Imam Malik and his disciples with regards to this. If the woman looks like this, if she looks like that, if her skin complexion is like this and like that, and so on and so forth. Break up the marriage. If it's something that he is not pleased with and he cannot live with. So this is a reality. As for a hadith on that topic, I've never read a hadith stating anything like that. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadl Bashir. Salam to Allah.
Is it the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad when nikah is done in the masjid with the both sides, like the man and the woman, to read the yeah. This is a sunnah of Prophet.
Question says, is it permissible for when the marriage is done in the masjid, brothers and sisters, to read the khutbah al-hajjah and those ayat? We say that the Prophet ﷺ, as Ibn Mas'ud narrated, he didn't.
The question is,
Fadl?
my question is like the woman who should marry and the man should be in the masjid.
Women and men in the masjid. A woman to be in front of the men or what?
Yeah, they come together and then the
Question says, is it the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ for a woman to come up front and to sit with her, to be husband, the wali, in front of everyone? I don't know of any hadith with regards to this. I haven't read in any books of hadith. This is specifically mentioned. I haven't read that. Okay? The concept of women being in front of men, men being in front of women, free mixing, intermingling, so on and so forth, is a very long issue. It's a technical issue of fiqh. Is it haram for men and women to be together? Is it permissible for men and women to be together? Are there times in which it is permissible for men who are not married to women to be together or in the same room? A classroom, is that permissible to study in college? Is it permissible you have guests over your house and your wife comes out, she's dressed, and she pours your guest tea and she serves them food? Is that permissible or is that haram? In the masjid, can the women be on the side? Can they be on the section? Is that permissible or is that haram? These are all technical issues of fiqh in which there is a long discussion. We're not going to talk about that right now. The specific question, I haven't read for a woman to come up in front of the man, in front of everybody to get married. Let's say if it was a small marriage and just the family members were there. As for if it's a congregation of men, is it permissible or is it recommended? Is it a good thing for the woman to come up in front of all of the men and sit there? I definitely wouldn't advise with that. I would not advise with that. I didn't say it's haram. Please, no one misquote me. As many people misquote. I did not say it's haram. I didn't say it's permissible either. I would not advise with that. And the reason why I'm saying that and taking such precaution is because the concept of free mixing is based off of one major wisdom. One major wisdom. And that is the fear of fitna. Not even zina, not even khor. Just fitna. You can go through a fitna without having to make zina. You may see a woman, or a woman may see a man, and for one reason or another, she may never, or you may never ever forget that fitna, or subconsciously, as you said. You don't even realize that you're looking. Okay? Nah, it's a reality. Father, Bismillah. I have to be there.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Now, the fear of fitna, that's one concept, or one wisdom. Then we have another concept, and that is, with regards to the mixing of sexes, is al-khalwa, seclusion. And that's another concept, and that's another level. Of a man who's not married to a woman, she's not his sister, his mother, his aunt, someone he's a mahram for, to be alone with her. So there are levels. Men being mixed with women is a fitna. That's one level. A man being mixed with a woman and it's just them and no one else. That's another concept. A man or woman being in the company of men and she's covered up and there is no fitna. That is another issue. Necessity, etc. We're not, and I want this to be clear, inshallah, we're not calling no one to be with men and women. That's not what we're calling to. I'm not calling anyone for a woman to cut that. We're just trying to make things simply, inshallah, clear. That's it. Is that there are some issues which are solid and other issues which are, there you go. That's all we're saying. Right? And this is all we're saying whenever we talk about things like this. We're not calling people to differences of opinion. We're not calling people to be lax and loose. That's not what I'm calling to, inshallah. But we're just making a clarification. Bashir, is do not go gung-ho on something that you don't understand. You think that you understand, but you really don't. It's deeper than that. You just barely scratched the surface, yahi. You're just barely scratching the surface of fiqh. There's levels beneath. Alaikum salam to Allah. So,
it's a hadith about al-mar'atu awra.
if I can just finish?
No, I'm just saying, that's the...
1 second. Just give me 1 second. Jazakallah khair. We'll take the hadith. No problem. Just 1 second. We don't lose my train of thought. Jazakallah khair. Now, this concept here of a woman being in front of other men, what did the Prophet ﷺ do? How did he live? Were there women in front of men or not? That is the dalil for what is haram and what isn't haram. Me personally, if it's a wedding, I would not advise for a woman to come up in front and sit in front of men. I wouldn't advise with that. Further.
No, I was just saying about this question about the hadith. The Prophet said, al-mar'atu awra. The whole of the woman is awra, meaning he actually questioned, was it permissible for a female to be up there in front of a bunch of men? So the hadith speaks for itself.
Jazakallah khair. Allah bless you. Ameen. No more questions before we stop?
Well, can you collaborate on the hadith though?
Tayyib. Question says, Al-mar'atu awra. The woman is awra. The first question is this hadith sahih? That's the first question. Is this hadith authentic? Can we prove that the Prophet ﷺ said these words? That's firstly. Secondly is, what is meant by awra? What is meant by that? That a woman's whole body cannot be seen. A woman should not be secluded with a man. A woman cannot leave her house. Because but let's say if a person says, al-mar'at awra, and he uses the hadith with regards to Bashir's question. No one can see her because she's what? Awra. So therefore a woman can't leave her house because she's awra. So the point that we're trying to get to is, and honestly, I didn't want to go into this technical issue, is that there is an understanding of what can and cannot be seen from a woman. That's firstly. There is an understanding with regards to seclusion, a male and a female. This hadith, if it's authentic, if the Prophet said those words, and if it's sahih, that a woman is awra, what does it mean? What does it constitute? That a woman cannot come in front of men? Perhaps. Or perhaps the woman is awra, based off of that absolute meaning that no one can ever see or be in the vision of a woman, period. Because a woman is awra. So, these are some